Hmm? Ah!
You're listening to the Run for Your Lives podcast.
Hey everyone, welcome to the show. I'm Daphne.
And I'm Pake.
And this is the Run for Your Lives podcast.
This episode, we're talking about the science fiction film The Gorge, directed by Scott Derrickson and released on Apple TV February 14th, 2025.
Nothing quite says Happy Valentine's Day like a love story across a wide open space.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I picked this one. We did not go to the wheel, although it is on the wheel, so Pake...
Not anymore. I took it off the wheel now.
Excellent. So you don't want to run the risk of us having to cover it again.
Right.
Yeah. So this was one I just kind of said, hey, let's do The Gorge this week. And so that's what we're doing.
Took it off the wheel and I replaced it on the wheel with Midsummer. So now it's on there twice. And every time we cover a movie that's on the list, it gets replaced with Midsummer until it's all... No.
You know what? You like it to wind me up, but I don't think you would do that to me. I really don't believe that you dislike me that much that you would put Midsummer on there multiple times so that it comes up.
But it is on there once. Guaranteed once.
I know.
So it is a possibility, and we will have to do it if it happens. But I think I ran down the numbers. It's on there. It's 1 out of 134, I think, that are on there now. So
right.
Chances are still pretty small to land on there, but not impossible.
So what you're saying is I need to find even more movies to put on the list so that it makes it even less likely that it will pop up.
That is a possibility, because we can keep adding to it as we go.
And there's a
more stuff comes out. Yeah.
There's a ton of movies coming out over the next year, I think. And
yeah.
I'm excited.
Did I even write it down? I don't know if I did. There was one. No, I didn't, because it probably is going to be terrible. But I'm still kind of curious about it, and I don't even remember the name of it now. It's some movie where some guy kidnaps women and films them being tortured by sharks. I don't know. Something.
Oh my gosh. Wait a second. Is that... No. Oh.
It hasn't come out yet.
No, but I feel like I heard about it.
Yeah. Dangerous Animals. That's what it is called.
Dangerous Animals.
I don't think I've added it yet, because it hasn't come out yet, but maybe throw that on there. Yeah, because I remember being the first time I saw that trailer on TV or something, I was like, this seems like a Run for Your Lives movie, and I watched it, I was like, and it's probably going to be terrible, but we could still try and cover it at some point, who knows?
I mean, we have covered terrible movies on here before, and those are some of our best episodes because we're super, in this headspace of, it is ridiculous, and we're in it for the ridiculousness.
Yes.
So, I think it works. We will not, however, be covering things like Cocaine Ewok, which is a fake movie that Jerry shared with us this week. It's no, Jerry, I don't think we'll be doing that. I will say that it was great to get to cover another Scott Derrickson movie because he did The Black Phone. He's involved with The Black Phone 2, which is coming out at some point in the next year. So I'm excited for that. But there are a bunch of other movies coming out too. We have 28 Years Later that's coming out next month. There's another Jurassic World movie that's coming out in June. Yeah, there's a lot happening.
Yes. Oh, the Minecraft movie, for sure. We got to do that.
The Minecraft movie? Pake, no. One of my favorite episodes that we did, Dungeons and Dragons, that movie, that was so much fun. And that was one of my favorite episodes that probably in my top 10.
Yeah.
I think.
Got to do more those kind of, one more Justice Smith and a...
Yes.
beloved thing. We still got to do Detective Pikachu, which is on the list.
Did you put it on there?
Of course. I've talked about it for like 2 years now or something.
I know, but remember how long it took us to do that movie that your dad wanted us to do?
Mm-hmm.
It took some time.
We might do that next week. Because it's my birthday week and it's going to be busy as absolute hell and I'm going to have no time to do anything at all. So maybe give us like a fun Pokemon movie. Of course, then I'm going to want to take a lot of extra notes, like really nerding about all the Pokemon that are in the movie and making all these lists and going down rabbit holes. So I don't know, maybe not.
Well, and you do know that it will give you a great opportunity for me to mispronounce every Pokemon name because you do love to give me crap for that.
How did you know that's what I would do is take the whole list, but instead of me listing it off, I'd make you do it just so I could laugh at all the... No, of course I wouldn't do that.
No, you would do that. That's you. That's the type of friendship we have. You totally would laugh at it, and it would probably be quite ridiculous. And very entertaining for our listeners, which I'm always down to entertain our listeners as much as possible. On a daily basis, or weekly basis, actually. Not a daily basis, but on a weekly basis.
Unless they listen every single day, you go back and re-listen to episodes. I get you could do that if you wanted to.
I mean, there are people that don't even watch the movie. They just want to listen to what we have to say about it. Either the movie's too scary or it's not something they like, but they like our podcast, so they want to listen to what we have to say anyway, which we really appreciate.
Sure.
But, yeah. Some people, they don't actually watch the movie. I don't know.
Speaking of watching the movie.
I was looking something up. I'm looking something up, and that is why I'm stalling. So, we're going to kick this off like we always do by doing a few production notes. I will warn you, there is no budget or box office because this was an Apple TV movie. It does not have anything out there for information that I could find. However, it was filmed in London, England, and Rauma, Norway, including the Rauma River, which is kind of what we saw, and Llandudno, Wales. I already talked about Derrickson directing The Black Phone, which we covered episode 94, if you want to go back and watch that movie and check out the episode. And I mentioned that he's involved with Black Phone 2. He also was involved with Sinister, which I don't know if that's on the list, Peg, but you should add it.
I think it is.
It should be. I feel like that whole universe of movies should be on there by now. It was 127 minutes long, which for us is a longer movie because we've been covering movies that are kind of in the 90 to 100 minute range, at least the last few. So this was a little bit longer. Pake, why don't you give us a synopsis of this one?
All right, this one's going to be real spoilery. I hope everybody's ready for it. 2 operatives are appointed to posts in guard towers on opposite sides of a classified gorge.
Okay, yeah. That's pretty vague,
sorry
actually.
Sorry to give so much away.
I know. Anything can happen. I mean, really, I didn't know what this was about going into it. I didn't know that it was about things that were living in the gorge. I just assumed they were, guarding something, but not, I don't know.
You just figured it was going to be 2 hours of them just sending notes back and forth to each other, and that's the whole movie.
No, I just didn't know if there was going to be an external threat that wasn't down in the gorge. I don't know what I thought. I just didn't think it was that. So I was a little bit surprised. And I got a lot of vibes from this, like Last of Us a little bit. Like,
oh yeah.
Like Last of Us with the spores, and then all the stuff down below with the tree people, which I ended up calling them tree people because to me they look like roots all hooked together. And
oh yeah, I have so many different references to other things that are in my notes as well. So yeah, of course.
Yeah. Yeah.
So many things reminded me of so many things, especially down there. Like, yeah.
Yeah. I had a lot of that too. Some of the references that I had were just so unexpected because I'm like, why does this make me think of that? But it does. And I can't explain it, but maybe it will make sense to you when we talk about it.
We'll see.
So, tell me, which character do we really stick with? Because I feel like it's got to be Levi, because we get more of a kickstart with him right at the very beginning.
He's the distance informer?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Good job. I don't think we've covered a Miles Teller movie on here.
I don't know. Not that I can, like, immediately recall. No, I don't think so. Like, I feel like we should have by this point, but yeah, there's nothing, like, jumping straight to me. We could do the Fantastic Four movie he was in. That one made me want to run for my life, just, like, away from the TV.
Everybody feels that way. Hopefully, it's going to get, cleaned out of your head with a well done,
yes,
Fantastic Four movie that's coming
very
out
soon. That's also like what, July?
Yep.
I'm so stoked.
Yep, it's pretty great. It's coming. What I will say is, what I know him from outside of this is a movie called Whiplash, which was a fantastic movie, and he was incredible in it. I don't know, I don't think he's done anything else that really fits for us to do, but this is where we're at.
You want to do Top Gun Maverick?
No. No, I don't.
They're flying for their lives.
Are they? Are they running away from something? I mean, are they flying away from something? I'm not sure.
Their pain, their trauma. That they keep bottled down. No,
we're talking about a figurative thing, then. It's
sure,
not...
yeah.
Okay, sure. Yeah, I don't think so. So, yeah, let's not do that. I would, however, like to cover movies if he does something in our genre, because I really liked him in this movie. I thought he was great. So, I feel like we have to start with Levi.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a highly skilled sniper, years of experience with military and private contracts. And so that's kind of where we pick up with him. Like, we know he's been through some stuff. He definitely has got some, like, mental blocks and, like, things that have definitely, like, haunted him from all of his time doing things like that. But Sigourney Weaver wants to pull him back into the game. So that's what we live. And it's very, like, secretive and mysterious, where even us as the viewers, like, I think are first led to believe that she's part of the government, because there's, like, a colonel there that's, like, with her in the room, and there's the American flags, and it's, like, a military base that he meets with her at. So you're very much led to believe, like, oh yeah, this is U.S. military secret mission, and the way she's even like, are you ready to serve? Like, it was very...
Yeah.
That, but no, she was not. She's, I guess, lead, kind of CEO, or at least one of the main people who's kind of working behind the scenes for Dark Lake.
Yeah.
This private sector genetic engineering and scientific experimentation thing. Plus, who knows whatever else they do. It's one of those kind of things. They probably also are a real estate company. They make chips. You got to do everything. But yeah, he's recruited by her anyway to do this, and then gets dropped out in the middle of the wilderness somewhere. Even he doesn't know where. Even meeting his contact JD out there, who's been there for a year doing the same job, and he has no idea where he's at.
No, and they don't get dropped off at a place super close. Like, they have to trek once they get there. And yeah. I remember when he gets dropped in the area, I'm thinking, man, you're going to freeze. There's all this snow. It looks like winter. And then once he gets to where he's going, it's not winter. Like, it's because it's up in the mountains. Like, yeah. I'm not really sure where it is.
Yeah. Nobody knows. Yeah.
And they don't know either. No one knows where they are.
But yeah. That's the fun thing about mountains, is there's always snow, depending on elevation stuff. I've played around in actual snow in the middle of July because of high enough elevation. So.
Colorado?
Yep.
Yep. We don't have any snow in Maine right now, Peg. There's no snow anywhere, not on the mountains, as far as I know. I haven't seen any pictures of it, so.
But yeah, he's so... JD, this guy that's there that was doing the job before him, filling him in on everything.
Seemed like a nice guy, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Hope everything turns out just fine for him.
No.
He's had no contact with anyone the whole time, which, he was so excited to finally give this spiel to the new guy. Like, the guy before him probably did everything the same. Like, even the bomb thing, like throwing the bomb down to reveal the Hollow Man. Like, he's just waiting for, I can't wait till I get to do the bomb thing with the new guy.
Exactly. Yeah. And you're there by yourself, and I started to think about what it would be like if I was alone for a year with no one to talk to, no phone, no nothing. I mean, I'd go crazy.
Yeah.
I couldn't be cut off. Maybe I could last a week. Maybe. But... yeah, no, I wouldn't be lasting a year. That would be really hard.
Too much. But yeah, the overall thing is like the mission he's given is you contain the threat that's inside the gorge. There's automatic sensor turrets that handle most of anything that tries to climb out, but that's why Levi's got to go and reload them regularly was something that he was told. But he's there to pick off ones that got by those.
And they do get by. They do get by.
Yeah. Within like when he starts learning about kind of what this is and is being told about it, even the guy's like, I think it's a portal to hell. He's like, okay, so this took a quick, weird supernatural turn, and that Levi's not fully buying it. He's
no.
Like, okay, that's what we're sure. Okay. And it's like, what did I get myself into? So I'm gonna sit here and stare at a gorge of imaginary creatures. I don't know what are we doing here. Yeah,
exactly. Because we don't know. No one knows. Like they haven't really shown us anything other than there's a gorge and there's a lot of like fog.
Yeah. So he's just kicking it, living there, doing his thing. I was wondering. I was like, where did he get the steak? That like first meal that he's eating. I was like, is there a freezer in the tower somewhere that gets restocked? Who restocks things? Nobody comes here. Nobody's there except for the once a year they swap out. And I was like, where are we getting steak from?
He didn't bring it in that little backpack.
No.
Who does the laundry? Is there a washer and dryer? I wondered that. Like, those are the things you wonder.
Right. Yeah. There's a lot of those like little things. I was like, I mean, yeah, there's no livestock there, just the little garden that was mentioned. So he was like, yeah, you can, there's some food, but where did the steak come from?
There's game in the woods, he said. He said there's there's good hunting or whatever. So
maybe release the steak cut, Derrickson. No, yeah. But the other thing he's told, do not communicate with the other tower, which it's like, yeah, that's gonna. Did you see who they cast over there? There's no way he's not going to talk to her. It wouldn't make any sense.
Yeah. This isn't not the first movie that we have covered that Anya Taylor-Joy has been in. No. We have covered, I think this might be number 3.
I can think of one off the top of my head.
Because
two. Yeah.
There are 2, yeah. Because she was in The Menu.
And then Last Night Soho.
Yeah. So she's been, yeah. We're down. If we ever cover, not Glass, but there's Split.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if we ever cover that series, then we'll cover a 4th one.
Yeah.
She shows up more, I think, in movies that we can cover. And I'm totally down to, because she's amazing.
Yes. Enjoy her. Which Levi also does.
Yes.
That was one hell of a zoom on the viewfinder, the viewer up on the platform, and also the binoculars he's got in his room. Everything just zooms in so well. Some high-tech equipment.
But she does get his attention.
Oh, yeah.
Without the binoculars. In her own way.
Yes. Yeah. And I'm glad that he ended up talking to her, because I don't know how well he would have done on his own. Like I said, kind of battling some of the mental demons. I was like, dude's pulling a gun on Thunder. Are we sure he's okay?
Yeah. He definitely is dealing with some post-traumatic stress. You can tell that whatever he did before, any of these missions, they're weighing on him. They're putting him in this mental state where he's just there's trauma.
Yeah.
And so, the first bang of thunder and he's out of the bed with the rifle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, of course, they're going to communicate. Already watching each other through the binoculars, two attractive young people. How are we not going to have that happen? Using notepads and Sharpies and whiteboards. I was like, you think they're going to start pointing out certain monsters that look like celebrities and then playing
yes,
they have to shoot the right one? And I was like, oh, wait, no, wrong movie, different.
There was a point when they were talking about, or they were messaging about, how good of a shot they are.
Andy!
That I thought of that movie, and I was wondering, are we going to get that? Are they going to be showing off about how good of a shot that they are?
Which, they did a little bit.
They had to.
Shooting the bottles and stuff. Which, that whole sequence was so intense, because they did do a little target practice as a game, but that, I'm assuming, I don't know, it was like, do the Hollow Men just pick random times to climb, or were because after knowing more about them watching the movie, it doesn't seem like they're attracted by sounds up top.
I know, because I thought at first that they were, that maybe her playing the music.
Yeah, because that's what I was thinking in my notes, because I just go with first time watch, so a lot of my notes are me thinking one thing and then later going, actually, nope, that's not the case. But
yeah,
I was thinking about that. It was target practice, them shooting a bunch, combined with the Ramones, brings out the Hollow Man, I guess.
I guess I loved that they had a record player, honestly, because at one point I'm thinking, what on earth would you do without music?
I don't know if he had any. They never showed any music over there, but
I don't think he did, but she did.
I would need to be in the Eastern Tower. I wouldn't want to be in hers, because
we know you'd want to be in hers, Pake.
The music is important.
It's super important.
I've listened to that Twisted Christmas album before. It's a fun one.
Honestly, to me, it sounded like We're Not Gonna Take It, and they turned it into Oh Come All You Faithful. And I'm like, oh, so we've taken that and put it over We're Not Gonna Take It by Twisted Sister. Okay, all right, I guess I get it. All right, cool.
It's a whole Twisted Sister Christmas album. It's great.
Really? Is it? A real thing?
I was legit. I said I've listened to the Twisted Christmas album. Yes, it is a Twisted Sister Christmas album. It's great.
How did I not know that even existed? And you do.
I do.
That is just not something I knew about.
I've listened to it. I don't own it, but I've listened to it. She's got quite the record collection in there. Although I was thinking, again, because that's how my brain works with a lot of the music, I know the music. Where I was like, okay, who's stalking things in these towers? Because the song that they dance together to, I was like, that album, that's Cool It Down is the name of the album. It was Spitting Off the Edge of the World is the song. It's the Yaz featuring Perfume Genius. Love that song. Such a good song.
I had never heard that song, and it is on my playlist now already.
Yeah, no,
it's amazing.
I've been jamming that song since it came out. But speaking of when it came out, because that is off the album Cool It Down, which came out in 2022. So again, I'm questioning, I was like, is someone stalking the tower with new music regularly? Who has the job of curating the vinyl selection for tower defense? What's...
I have to wonder if maybe they're given a memo that says, everyone, when you come, you have to bring one record. You have to bring one vinyl album to contribute to the collection.
Was Yeah Yeah Yeah's her choice? Or was the Twisted Sister one hers? I don't know.
You know what? I think it's probably the
Ramones.
The Yeah Yeah Yeahs probably was, and I'm totally down for that because they're awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was singing along and swaying and dancing along with that song. I was like, that's such a good one.
Well, they were swaying too. Mm-hmm. And then they were doing other things after that.
Yeah, I didn't do that part. But I did dance and sing. Anyway, where were we? Oh, yeah, just... But yeah, the music with the Ramones that maybe did or didn't bring the Hollow Men, but either way, it's the first time we see them is this moment of levity and happiness gets cut off short by, oh, this is real and now we have to do our job. And the things when we see them, I was like, these are interesting. They're humanoid. which we learned because they are people that then had their the DNA. It was very like Shimmer from the Annihilation and that from Annihilation. Like that's another so many references to other things that we're making, but
where everything just assimilates together, like it all comes together and becomes one and the same.
Yeah, the scientist in the video says, it was just like animal, plant, human DNA, all of it just meshed together into things. And I was like, Annihilation, got it.
Can I just tell you, the scientist in that video, oh my God, it's Dutch from The Strain. And for me, that was amazing because I loved her character in The Strain.
Nice.
Because she was tough and she, she went through a lot of shit and came out the other side. And I was so excited to see her in this.
But yeah, so I'm looking, it's like, so they're human, at least humanoid at first when I see them, and I was like, but they do seem soulless, empty, hollow. Fitting name.
Yeah, definitely.
Like they're as much plant / tree as they are human. They felt like enemies that you would see in D&D. I was like, that's a D&D thing, is to fight plant tree people.
Literally, they look like roots and branches that have been like pulled together and turned into a person. There's one we meet later that has something living in it that I was freaked out.
I loved that. That was the coolest thing.
It was so freaky. I'm like, no, not a fan. But I knew it was going to come into play, and it did. So it was like, okay, of course you had to do that. So we'll talk about that in a bit.
Yeah. Yeah, so they're scaling the walls of the gorge and got to be shot down. So that's where like there's mines and the sensor turrets that eventually do go off, but Levi and Dross are still left to do their damnedest with their rifles and their tower turrets. And
you understand why they were picked for this mission.
Yeah, absolutely.
One of the reasons why they were picked.
Yeah, the jump scare with the hand on the tower with Drassa was very obvious. I knew a billion miles away it was going to happen, but it was still very good. Because she was so focused on Levi's side that she didn't stop to realize or like think that they were climbing her side too.
They hadn't connected that much. And they were already, I feel like, invested.
Yeah.
At least she was. Because I feel like her character was more, I think, connecting or about connecting than his. I think he had a wall. He had onion layers that needed to come down.
I wonder if there was a draft version of this script where she turned into one of them.
I do wonder that too.
And the reason I wonder about that, because they talk about like the, infection and like being contaminated down there. And they make a point to be like, we can't let one of them get out because they are a contaminant within themselves. And when one of them blows up on the mine underneath her platform and a fragment of the wood from it stabs into her shoulder and you see her kind of like affected from it. It's like, and then nothing ever comes of that. But so I was like, I wonder if there is a draft of this script where that is a hint of like something to come later, that they just ended up deciding to swerve and make it a happier ending instead.
I wonder about that too, because there were moments down below where I thought, they're in this fog, they're in the steam, they're in all of this, and she's getting sliced up and banged up and like open wounds and all of that.
Yeah.
And I thought for sure, out of the two of them, I thought if one of them is going to get infected, it's going to be her, because she's had the most contamination.
Yeah. So that's a question for Scott Derrickson. Since we know you're listening, Scott, just let us know. Yeah, but then after all of that takes place, then we see with Levi especially, I'm sure she had to do some of the same that they just didn't show, that you've got to go down and replace and repair any of the fortifications and the bombs after they're destroyed in defense. So it's like everything has got to be kept running by you. Yeah, and then a lot of that first half of the movie is really just kind of seeing them bonding. They made little snowman versions of each other.
They did.
Very cute. Very cute.
And you know that I'm not always down for every bit of romance that we get in movies, but for some reason, I have to admit, with the two of them, I was kind of shipping them just because I felt like he really needed someone to connect with because of everything he'd been through. and her going through what we'll talk about, what she's going through.
Yeah.
I feel like they needed each other. And who better to understand what you're going through in isolation than someone you look across and you see and they're going through the same things you are as far as what's happening there. And so I really was kind of okay with their romance. I was.
Yeah.
I liked it.
A lot of little moments with the music and drinks and back and forth and said the snowman and chess, where they're playing chess with each other, which again kind of makes me think of the Dawn of the Dead thing a little bit, because I was like, okay, there it is. I knew it was only a matter of time before they're playing a game across the gorge, but with each other.
And you know that she was in the Queen's Gambit.
I know. That's literally my next note. I said, Levi clearly didn't watch the Queen's Gambit because he doesn't know who he's dealing with.
Nope.
But then it moves from there to a drum off, and I was like, a drum off against Miles Teller? Now she's outmatched. Clearly she didn't watch Whiplash. Which then made me wonder if those activities were deliberately chosen for those reasons. They were. Clearly they have to be. Yeah.
They definitely were. Those two things were in the script before they cast the parts. And as soon as they were cast, they wanted the scene removed. Because they're like, this goes way too close to something that we've already done.
Oh, it was very on the nose to the point where, like I said, I made a note about it. I was like, chess with Queen's Gambit, and then when it cuts to drumming, I was like, Whiplash. Okay, so that's what we're doing here.
Yep. Okay, here we go. If that was all they had to deal with, we would not be talking about this movie because it wouldn't fit the genre.
Right.
But yeah, they wanted it to be taken out. But they also know after the movie came out that people really liked those parts. They love those connections to those two things. And because of it, they were happy that it was overruled because they are happy that fans liked and related or were connected to those parts.
Yeah. My brain kind of turned to like Ryan from Pitch Meeting a little bit, being like, hey, those are the things from the other things they did. Like, you know.
Have you watched the Pitch Meeting?
I have not.
I feel like we have to, just because I wonder if he does say that.
Right. Those are the things they did in their other movies. Yeah, or show for her, but yeah. But yeah, so you're seeing like there's a lot of like back and forth and like bonding even from that distance. Which, again, he needs, because, again, that, like, PTSD, which the second time it happens, it got me, too, because, like, when he awakes or the start, because it sounds like hollow men groaning in sounds and gunshots going off, so you're thinking, oh, no, she's dealing with something.
Yep.
And he gets up and, no, it's just the wind howling, and it had blown the doors open, and they're banging against the walls. Which then, again, made me think, like, logistically, there's so many little logistics things. Like I said, like, who's stocking the food and the music. But also, like, what is with the rule of the two sides not communicating with each other? Because, again, if things can happen at any time, it's like they're bathing or they're sleeping or they're doing different... It's like, wouldn't you want them to be able to communicate so they could work in shifts or something, or like plan together to be more defensive? Like, it makes more sense.
That is much more realistic to what would need to happen, especially if you're trying to protect the same area.
To where you always have somebody on guard. Like, if you want the two of them, because I mean, you don't think about them like falling in love and having like a relationship.
No.
But it's like, if they're doing the job, then like while one of them is sleeping or otherwise doing something else, the other one should be on watch and on duty, so they should be swapping. So why just be like, they're both there to watch, but they can't communicate or talk or come up with any good defensive plans that actually make their jobs easier and better.
Right. No, we wouldn't want that. I don't know if they even considered, like, the romance aspect of it. I'm not sure. I mean, and truly, did Bartholomew, which is Sigourney Weaver's character, did she also select Drasa for this?
I don't think so. Because when she's talking to her dad earlier in the movie, she says something about like having like a connection, a guy in Moscow that like sets her up with jobs.
Right.
So I think, because it seems like it's the two nations. Although we learn, Sigourney Weaver's character doesn't work necessarily for the United States as a nation. She's got her own. So maybe. Who knows? Like, is there like a... Is there like an American and then like a Russian branch of Dark Lake, or is it like, yeah, who knows?
Yeah. Who really knows? Nobody knows, and we're not going to know.
No.
It's okay. It's okay that we don't know. Oh my gosh. So we talked about some of the music that we heard like on the record player that, you know, kind of framed different scenes. The music overall in this movie was done by the amazing Trent Reznor, Oscar-winning Trent Reznor, and Atticus Ross. Like, and I mean, we're talking about Nine Inch Nails, which I've seen in concert. They're one of my top concerts that I've ever been to. He's amazing. They're amazing. What they've done and other movies that they've scored and been part of. And I feel like now I have to go back and watch this again so I can pay even closer attention to the music, because I'm looking at Wikipedia right now and it just popped, like it's there, and I'm like, how did I not notice that earlier? Because I really enjoy what they put together, honestly.
Oh, yeah. Honestly, like, Nine Inch Nails hasn't done anything in forever. Like, they've been focusing on movie and TV scores for the most part for the past, like, 10 years at this point.
Yes.
Like,
so, Trent Reznor, I know you're listening to this podcast. Will you please, you and Atticus Ross, go back in the studio and put out a new Nine Inch Nails album?
Yeah, so back to the movie. Conversations and stuff. Of course, as soon as she holds up the thing, it's like, I wish somehow you could be here with me. And I was like, great. Well, now he's definitely going to try devising some insane plan to do just that. By the power of T.S. Eliot.
It's what boys do, Pake. They have to go to the girl. They have to do it. And
he did. He built himself a rocket freaking zip line across the gorge for a dinner date. Which, such fancy clothing that she had over on her side. It's almost like there was plans for fancy dinner dates. I don't know why there's such nice clothing in the tower.
I mean, she said it was left behind by former people, but I would not be bringing that type of clothing to a remote location. I want jeans and a t-shirt and a sweatshirt or a sweater, not fancy dressy clothes.
Yeah. But yeah, they have a really deep and personal dinner conversation. Probably much needed for both of them. Kind of really get to know each other and open up and say things they probably haven't ever told anybody else. It's just like really like vulnerable moment. And then of course then the music, and then they get a lot closer and all that. And all I can think, I was like, so shit's gonna hit the fan while one of the towers is empty, right? Like the whole time I'm like, every second he's not there, something bad's gonna happen. I'm just
That's what I thought
waiting
too.
for it.
That is what I thought as well.
So yeah, so it wasn't a surprise at all when, of course, the Hollow Men are crawling up the wall when he's not there in his tower. What I didn't quite expect was it would be while he was in the middle of his zip line, and the mines would snap his line, sending him down into the gorge. Wonderful.
Because the Hollow Men just chose to come up during that time.
Mm-hmm.
And they were trying to defend the gorge, the wall, and it sliced his line.
Yeah. And then she goes in right after him.
Yes. They loved each other right away, I guess. She was all in to go rescue him. Yep, right away.
Ride or die. Yeah, and then my notes kind of skip over a lot of stuff, because then a lot of my like notes for things that happen down there are kind of more focused on
Drasa or the creatures.
No, just like the creatures, like the Hollow Men and the Gorge and the creatures and a lot of kind of that stuff itself.
Yeah.
But yeah, they explore after they find each other and kind of explore things down there. There's a lot of crazy stuff that we'll talk about, but the ultimate goal of them being down there is them finding this Dark Lake lab that's built inside the old, like the 1940s, like town and lab. Because it was very much like a town.
Yes.
That was down there. And then that video that they watched, because like, oh, movie night, let's get some answers. Where she even says it was like this was happening in the 40s at the same time that Oppenheimer had his, little town going where everybody was working on the atomic bomb. they were also down here doing this. And so I was like, oh, so that's what this movie is. It's just a weird Oppenheimer sequel.
Got it, right?
Got it. Makes sense. Yeah, but so that's where they learn really what's going on down here is like all like the genetic weapon stuff that they're working on. And then an earthquake happened and all of the stuff got out and infected and turned it into the Shimmer from Annihilation. It's pretty much what happened. And
yeah.
So then it became containment.
Yeah, there was a lot that we learned from the video, from them being down there. And when you start to realize what is happening and what is going on and what these creatures are, it's startling.
Yeah. So it's just containment, except then that's where Dark Lake comes in, is they've been sending people down here too. At least they were at some point. Now they have the drones and stuff, but still continuing the research to like, okay, how do we take this horrifying thing that's happened and still make like a super soldier serum out of it somehow? Which for every... When are these government and private sector people going to learn? For every Steve Rogers, there's a billion reasons it's a bad idea.
Yeah.
You know, like we don't need...
Exactly. So they sent people in originally to shut it down, to like defeat it, to close it, to stop it back in the 40s.
Yeah.
They tried to do it. Those people were never heard from again, basically. Yeah. And because of it, you know, we get the creatures that we see.
But then there is still people that had continued to go down there after that to some degree, because the Dark Lake stuff, even like Levi is like, yeah, this stuff is like 2000s technology. Like there's a lab that has been built and worked on even since then.
Yeah. You'd think they would have figured out that sending people down there was a really bad idea because nobody ever came back. But they didn't. They just kept playing around with people's lives. Poor JD.
Mm-hmm. And so eventually, they learned that's also a bad idea. So that's what those drones, we see the one that comes up while he's working on the mines and stuff. Because at first I was like, okay, what the fuck was that? It's like, it was that from the creatures? Do they have drones? What's going on? But no, it's like at Dark Lake.
They do. They're down there flying them.
They get them for Christmas. They give them to their little sapling children.
Yes.
But the drones are flying down there and collecting genetic samples from the creatures, then flying back up because they're like, we can't send actual scientists down there anymore. So we'll
it's
do
not
it that
safe.
way.
Not safe at all for them to go in there. They did finally learn that.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, so they get all of those answers and crazy things, and they're like, all right, now we have to get out of here. And then they finally come up with an escape plan. We're going to have to drive up.
Because unfortunately, poor Drassa, when she parachutes in, is hit and banged around underneath. In the water, she's banged around. Yep. Again, more contamination. And loses the accelerator. Is it? No, not the accelerator. They had a term for it.
There was a name for it. I don't remember it.
The ascender.
The Goey Uppy machine.
The Goey Up. It's not the Goey Uppy machine. It's like the ascender or something. Because I wrote it down when it happened. I'm like, she lost the Goey Uppy thing. No,
the Goey Uppy machine.
No,
I think that's a perfect name for it. That's great.
Of course you would. Of course you would think that.
Ascensionism. No, that's a Sleep Token song.
Yeah, unfortunately, she lost that device that would allow them
the Goey
to get...
Uppy machine, yes. I'm aware of what machine you're talking about.
The Goey Uppy machine.
Yes.
So they made their own.
Yes.
They figured it out and made their own.
Mm-hmm. Also, one thing that he learned down there was stray dog, which JD he'd even mentioned. He was like, if the sirens go off, stray dog has been initiated. And he's like, what is that? And he's like, I don't fucking know. But
just run.
Yeah,
just run.
But he does learn what that is there's a nuke down there in case things go super south. And by that, it's not really for the people. If it goes south, if it goes south for the corporation. If the cloakers go down and satellites and other things can now pick up on the Gorge and what it is and now have a read on something is going on there, then it's like full meltdown, burn everything, get rid of all the evidence. Nobody was here. And that's what that is. And he also learns through that like the blast radius is 4.2 kilometers.
Yeah.
Yeah, we couldn't have it done in miles because we already had one of those in this movie.
No, we couldn't.
Yeah.
When he was reading through the stray dog stuff, I paid attention because I figured it was going to come up later as far as the distance.
Yeah.
And that played into their plan when they figured shit out.
So yeah, they drive up the wall to get out of there, and then like when like the tension like pulled and they look down and like the hollow men are climbing up and they seem surprised. I was like, I mean, yeah, obviously the monsters are going to be crawling up the wall after you. That was a given.
Yeah.
The second that you got down there and started making a plan for going back up, I was like, and then they get chased back up. Yes, that's how movies work.
Yeah.
But they made it back up, but not unscathed. Definitely beat up a little bit. It was quite a vertical Jeep battle. It was fun. Enjoyed that sequence.
Enjoyed that too. I wasn't sure what to expect from that at first because you knew that they were going to throw those little monkey wrenches into it, but it was really fun, honestly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, there was a lot of banging everybody around, and it's what you expect. It kind of reminded me of San Andreas when, at the beginning, that's what I'm calling. Dwayne Johnson's character is trying to rescue the girl that's in the car, and she's stuck, and all of that. It just kind of reminded me of how that all played out. As well as other things from that movie, because it seems like they were always having to save themselves from falling into something bigger.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, they're back up. They're kind of making plans, and it is this like, well, now that we know the truth of what's going on down there, and we know about Stray Dog, it's like, do we just burn it all to the ground and stop what they're doing? Because we know we're not making it out of here alive. Like, I think they put the pieces together. Like, they chose us because we're expendable, because we don't have anybody else. And so it's like they don't want any of this getting out, which means after our job is done here, we are also just a piece that needs to be thrown away. So it's like, do we just stop the whole thing? And I think what really sets that in motion is with his radio check-in, and he's talking to Big Boss Lady. And I did really like that moment where she's like asking, is like, yeah, the sensors went off down there in the gorge. Were you down there? And it's like, no. And it's like, well, it must have been her. You'll have to kill her. And he plays along with it. And then it cuts to her watching the footage of the computers down there, clearly seeing that both of them were down there in the lab together.
Exactly.
And then he lied to her. So it's like, okay, he knows some stuff, and he's immediately trying to cover things out. Like, we're now on opposite sides of something, so we're going to have to send in the cleanup crew.
But Pake, they were already on opposite sides because what happened to JD, which we haven't said.
Oh, yeah.
JD was killed, basically.
What?
Yes.
No, he went to Bermuda.
Sure.
Lived a wonderful life.
Sure. No. He didn't.
He went to a farm upstate.
No, he didn't. Oh. I know you thought we were going to be talking about George Orwell, but we're not talking about Animal Farm tonight. And he's not at a farm anywhere. Yeah. No. Yeah. Yeah, you realize that character's name was J.D. Drake. And I was like, J.D. Drake? He's in this? Oh, different guy. Never mind. Yeah. No, J.D. runs off. He thinks he's getting picked up to go back to civilization. He confirms his identity, and he's shot in the head and falls away. To a farm upstate. In Bermuda. Both of them at the same time. Upstate Bermuda. Sure. To run around in a field with all the other JDs. He's fine. But you knew, I mean, the audience knew based on that. We knew what was going to happen to both of them. And I wondered at one point if they were going to come across his body somehow in some weird way, that they would have them. I did. I wondered about body, that too. Yeah, because then they would really realize, like, that could have been a very cool way for them to find out. Because even though it was like a dead body that dropped, like I could see it still like being like assimilated into some weird like
thing, and then like them coming across a creature that like looked like him, and then they'd be like, hang on.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they get up there, they're ready to go, they kind of make their plans. Yeah, because when the Dark Lake people show up, we then have our characters that we've been following facing a greater evil than the monstrosities in the Gorge. Power-hungry private sector human beings.
And we all know how devious and demented they can be.
Yes. So yeah, when they show up, I like that moment, that run, and it's like, all right, we've got to get out of here. And we see, like, you think because they're just doing their regular perimeter checks that they do constantly. We learn later that they were rigging the cloakers to blow, which was cool.
Yes.
Yeah, I was like, okay, so the blast radius is 4.2 kilometers, so they just have to get outside of that zone. It's quite a ways to run. But then, yeah, I was like, how is he planning on setting off the warhead down in the gorge? But then I forgot about that, and then whenever he shoots, breaks her record for longest distance.
He did.
And blows it. I was like, yeah, that's right. The cloakers go down, the gorge is exposed, and Stray Dog automatically has the contingency to go off to take care of that. So, yeah, they rig the cloakers to blow. They're out of the blast radius by Gorge, by secrets. Well, Drassa was out of the radius. Levi, not so much. Mostly enough to like not die. Although he was injured enough to, and we don't get like too much clarification on exactly everything he went through afterwards, but enough to where he couldn't make their meeting that they had set in France. So I was like, but he did leave her with the poem. She collapsed the night.
Aww.
Which she loved to give him shit about.
She did, but you know she loved it. When she read it, she cried.
Oh yeah. I wish they never showed the full poem. But
No.
like, there's like a couple like the opening lines, because I was ready. I was like, if they show the whole paper, but then it doesn't read, I was going to pause the screen and write it down anyway. But they didn't show the whole thing. I don't think so. I was like,
And you didn't check to see if it was online?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, no, that's not the poem. AI is trying to tell me it's the poem. It's not the poem.
Oh, no, that's the Cat in the Hat. It's a different thing. He's not that bad at it.
No, he's not. It was very sweet, actually.
She just opens up the paper and is like, oh, finally I get to see this poem. See? Spot run. What the fuck is this?
Now I'm on Reddit looking. No, it's not there. I wish it was. I'd like to know as well, Pake. I really would.
Like I said, like, if they showed the whole paper on screen, I was going to pause it and jot it down, but
of course
they
you
didn't.
were.
So,
No.
But then,
Not
yeah, at
fair.
the end of the movie where she's working at the restaurant and then he shows up there sitting at the table, I was like, yeah, I had zero doubt that he'd eventually show up. It wasn't
I was
like
so
a big
glad.
shock. It wasn't a big surprise. I was like, he's not dead. He's fine.
I was so glad when he did show up.
fine.
I was relieved, honestly. Because they had really good chemistry. I'm not big on romance in these horror movies, but I feel like recently we've covered a couple that I'm kind of like, okay, yeah, I'm down. This is one of them. Yeah, I think we have covered through Levi pretty well.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I think we can talk a little bit about Drassa. I appreciated the ties that they had to Lithuania in it because, the scene when she's in the cemetery with her father, they're drinking this Lithuanian beer called Svaturis, and talking about different things, even speaking Lithuanian. She sings a happy birthday Lithuania song. She's connected with her dad. She's there to visit him. We find out that he is sick. He has cancer that is at least in his liver, and I think it's spread. So his life expectancy is not long, and he tells her that he has decided to take his own life on Valentine's Day. So when she's going into this experience, she knows that she's never going to see him again.
Yeah, and the way that they like let that unfold through the beginning of the movie, because it was interesting, like, she's who we get introduced first, and she also is like a great sniper and a shot, but instead of being military, it seems like she's always just kind of been like a hired gun, hired killer, because that's where we see her taking out this Belarusian oligarch.
Yes.
But yeah, we see like, oh yeah, she's capable of staying, because she's been like marking off like 9 or 10 days. She's been like in this little hole in the hill waiting for this plane to land, and it's like, okay, so she's good at staying in one small place as long as needed. So she's perfectly built for the job she's gonna get later.
Yeah, the sniper part reminded me of Squid Game because they introduced a element of like sniper in season 2, and so that kind of took me to that a little bit.
Yeah, and then her dad, because when she's talking with him there in the cemetery, and it's like, how was work today? It's like, yep, killed the oligarch. Like, he's fully aware of who she is, what she does, because she even mentions later to Levi that he was like KGB and trained her in a lot of ways. And he kind of, their conversations helps her be more okay with her jobs. Like, you know, it's like, give me the shame. You know, like that whole, like, you know, she keeps the shell and gives it to him and adds it to his bag of shame.
Yes.
Which has been doing this quite often and for a long time, it seems like, because that's a lot of shame in that bag.
Yeah. And you can tell that she's having a really hard time kind of reconciling with herself some of the assignments that she's been on. And when she talks to him, he just reminds her that, yes, you killed a man that had children, but he also was involved in work that maimed children and did terrible things. And he's kind of trying to help her to like understand that, you know, some of the targets that she's taking out are not innocent targets.
And then, yeah, as you mentioned, like, he's terminally ill, and we see this meeting is to be their last, because she's going dark for a year to do this job. So he's like, well, when February comes around, I'll be gone, and you can look up to the sky, look at the hunter, and know. That whole thing, which, of course, when we get to that day, because as soon as the February, like, title card came over the screen, I was like,
oh, no.
Yep, here we go. It was definitely a hard time for her, and that's the same kind of day that Levi makes that choice to decide to go visit her, because, yeah, they've had that connection enough.
Yeah, because she tells him that it's been a hard day and she wishes that he could be there with her. Because the first time that they really start communicating is on her birthday in November. And she reaches out to him by shooting something to get his attention.
Yeah, because that's where they have to fight all of those Hollow Men the first time. Because I love after, like, she's patching herself up and fixing up her wounds and stuff from that. It's just like that best birthday ever.
Yeah. I mean, she just wanted to have someone to drink with and talk to. And he kind of puts a wall up and is like, we're not allowed to have contact. And she's like, it's my birthday. I'm going to do whatever the hell I want. And I was like, you go, Drassa. Yes, you do you.
Yeah. I did wonder how she always seems to know that he's looking at her.
Because she's Drassa, and why would you not be looking at her all the time? I mean, she's beautiful, so of course they are. Anyone would be, I feel like.
Yeah. But yeah, they were still very nonchalant about the whole, like, meeting up when he did come over there. Because I like that, you know, I'm not supposed to be here. I should. And then he's like, she goes, we're cloaked, so who's watching? I was like, I don't know, maybe whoever was controlling the drone that was there earlier. What do I know? But rabbit pie sounds real tempting, so, you know, she goes, do you like rabbit pie? And he goes, I intend to.
Like, I'm not sure he's here for the rabbit pie, but yeah. I'm not sure that you want him to be here for the rabbit pie. And that, so when he's going over the gorge, he gets kind of, not stuck, but it slows down so it's not moving. So he has to kind of pull his way over.
Yeah.
Somehow he underestimated that, and he got really sweaty, and she said he smelled. And so she tells him to take a shower. And she's going to bring him some clothes to wear, these fancy dress clothes, which I'm sorry, I don't know why that they were there, but okay.
Don't know. You know, for fancy dinner parties alone in the tower.
Yes.
For the people, you know.
If you dress up for yourself. Yes.
As you do.
So, it was really fun that she decides to move the clothes over to a different area. So when he comes out, he nakedly has to walk over to get them. And she gets to see a lot. And she's very happy with what she sees.
I guess. Yeah. Seems to be.
Yeah. Yeah, I think she's definitely impressed. I mean, Levi's pretty resourceful to have been able to figure all of that out and be able to go see her. And she really needed that. And you know what? So did he.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
For sure. And, yeah. He tells her about his poem that he's writing for her. And, I mean, they have all that heart-to-heart and talking about everything. And all I could think is, this isn't his last trip over. He's going to come back again. You know, or she's going to go over there. They're just, yeah, they're going to have to visit each other. And I think that's okay. I know it's breaking a rule, but it needs to happen.
Yeah. But yeah, I covered most all of her stuff. Honestly, like the only other note that I really have on her is just, her being taken by Tree Man. That, I mean, she mostly holds her own against him after, like, she, like, fights her way out. You know, she's able to get herself out of the situation of, like, hanging by a strap from the ceiling. It's still good that Levi showed up, but yeah, she was doing pretty well. Also, the snake in the chest of that creature, which turned out to be Shaw, the, like, original captain that was, like, in the tower, was really cool. But yeah, the snake thing was such a cool addition. I thought that was awesome.
Was so freaking creepy. It was living in the trees that he had become.
Mm-hmm.
It was so creepy. I was not a fan, and I was happy that she cut off the head of the snake.
Yeah. So that's like the difference between us. You're like, it was creepy and I didn't like it, and I was like, that was really cool, and I wish there was more of that.
There were several different points in this movie that I thought I was watching some sci-fi version of Toy Story, because the creatures that came out reminded me of things you'd find in Sid's bedroom.
Uh-huh.
Like when he's been messing around and changing toys into other things.
Yeah.
That's what I got, that vibe. The skull spiders that we saw in the church. Like.
Yeah. So again, that was another moment where I go, oh. So no, actually what this is a Legend of Zelda movie, because I know Skulltulas when I see them.
I also felt like it could be Monster Hunter. Like some of the things reminded me of Monster Hunter.
Yeah, which at least the skull spiders don't discriminate. They were attacking the murder Groots as well, so.
Yes. They were. It was incredibly, those creatures, the Hollow Men as a whole, and the horses, like the horses.
Yeah,
the Hollow
they have horses. They have horses? There's so many things I was like trying to think of. I've moved past Drassa and I'm in my Hollow Man notes.
Yeah.
But yeah, because I was like, there's going to be a whole Hollow Man civilization down here. That's what I was waiting for. Is like they're going to take them to the Hollow Man village and meet Hollow children, and then be like, "Stop killing us. We just want to go out and meet people. We're tired of being down here." No. Instead, as they immediately point out after I typed that thought, no, these are the battalions of people that were sent down there and never came back.
Yeah, they're in surprisingly great shape for being down there for 80 years? Or is it 80 years? Yeah, 80 years. They've been down there. They're still alive. That's like a major miracle.
I don't think normal human, what's the word? I'm looking for biology.
No.
It applies anymore.
No. Because they're what? A planaman?
A planaman.
Planaman. They're a planaman.
The planaman, yeah.
Yep. Plant, animal, human.
Mm-hmm.
Hybrid.
Planaman. I like
Planaman.
it. And not even just the people, all the different things. Because, when Levi first falls down there, he's hanging in that tree. And I was like, oh no, that thing coming after him is called a big old Noperino. That's what that is. The creepy ass tree bug of doom. And then even whenever he shoots that and falls, is like, it's bad when you land on tree roots and they squish and bleed. So I was like, oh great, he's going to be eaten by a fleshy tree root monster. Oh no. No.
I know.
It was only slightly horrifying. Just a little bit.
I mean, the mouth, the teeth, that looked like, honestly, ribcage
Yeah, it was
were closing around him, and
such a cool
wasn't
effect.
sure. Yeah.
Love it. Love that stuff. And then even then, I picked up pretty quick. I was like, so like plant and animal matter are kind of the same, like one and the same down here. It's all mishmashed.
All merged together. Again, Annihilation, kind of.
Mm-hmm. And then the color shift from the yellow to like the blue purple was really interesting. I liked that.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, there's like a little town down here. They're in the Upside Down. That's what's going on.
Yes.
Stranger Things Season 5 was released on Apple as a movie.
As a movie called The Gorge.
Secretly. Oh, that's what's going on. I just kept thinking it was sequels to different things. And I was like, oh, it's Oppenheimer. No, it's Legend of Zelda. No, it's Stranger Things.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
It's a lot of different things mashed into one.
Yeah. Miles Teller, parachuting. It's a Top Gun sequel. Got it. But yeah, and then when they're in the church and the Skulltulas, the skull spiders,
they were so creepy.
The classic horror shot when they're standing there, and like I love to see that shot I'll point it out every time it happens, where you let the camera sit in one place for a while, where you're watching, Levi and Drassa there, and then the focus shifts to something moving subtly in the background, and you see it up in the rafters, and it's like, yeah, ooh, yay, yay,
it's
yay,
coming,
yay, yay.
It's coming.
Love it. So many great creature effects. They were just so fantastic in this movie. Lots of really great horror visuals. The like weird mycelium, like human, like the fungus that had human faces and was breathing, and like stuff that they had to walk through. I was like, that nothing's gonna be just easy down here.
No. I honestly just expected everything was alive.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was all alive. Wherever they were going, something was going to attack them because it was alive. All the plants were going to kill them. That's just what I expected. It was just going to keep moving.
Yes.
I did read a little bit about, so there's this Polish artist, and some of the design of the surrealness and creatures from the Gorge itself, they took some of the inspiration from this Polish painter called Gdzisław Beckinski, and I went and looked at some of his paintings, and absolutely they did. Mm-hmm. It's like this merge of different things that shouldn't go together, and they're together. How
beautiful.
I thought that was
cute love story. Cool. I'm glad they got together.
I know. You will be happy to know that Jeep scene, a lot of that was actually practical.
That's cool. I love practical. Got it.
Yep.
Yeah. Gotta love it.
And the actors themselves did the stunts, which we don't always get. So that was kind of cool.
Yeah. I'm trying to think if I have any other notes. I have like a little Dark Lake section that I probably have talked about most of the stuff, just like the Gorge and like the Dark Lake project itself, highly, highly secretive. We get like that, presidents and other world leaders don't even know of its existence. They trained military specialists that are hired for 1 year shifts to guard it, keep an eye on the perimeter. Western nations one side, Eastern on the other, which is again why Drassa had mentioned going dark for a year, and then Levi was asked if he had anyone who would miss him going completely AWOL, basically. And minimal information is known by the operatives and anybody else involved. And then it gets to the point, I was like, oh, yeah, it's super fucked. But I kind of saw it coming, that it's so secretive that, of course JD was killed after completing his rotation.
I had that weird feeling as he was telling him everything that was going on, like all the different requirements and things he has to pay attention to. And they talked about being, isolated, that maybe it was not going to end well for them, because why would you want anyone to know all of this information, to be out there in the world, to be able to tell it? Honestly, you wouldn't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think the last notes that I haven't mentioned, but I also kind of have, is just those little things. So it's like, oh, so now we're in like a Fallout vault. This Gorge has everything. Where's the Burger King? And then, just because the line was fun where it was like, the Gorge is some kind of major scientific fuckery gone very wrong. And now it's the Shimmer from Annihilation, which I mentioned. Yeah. So.
Yeah. I mean, it's many different things, Pake, really.
Yes.
It's many things.
It's an Annihilation, Stranger Things, Oppenheimer, Legend of Zelda, Fallout, Top Gun.
Last of Us.
Last of Us collaboration. It's all of them.
Yeah. I mean, Derrickson wanted to do something that was very different from Black Phone and Sinister. I think he succeeded, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think he definitely succeeded on this one. I liked it. Overall, honestly, I really liked it.
Also a Whiplash sequel as well, because it's the same person after that drum sequence.
Yes. It's true.
Queen's Gambit. It's a sequel to all of them together. Yeah.
I don't know how you merge all of that into one thing.
But Scott
they did
Derrickson
it.
Did it. Mm-hmm.
He did. I mean, or the writer. I mean, maybe the writer put it in there, Zach Dean. I went to see what he had done, and he has not done a lot except for a little movie that you may remember we did. I think we started season 3 with it, called The Tomorrow War.
Uh-huh.
I think it was season 3. It might have been season 4, but I think it was season 3. Yeah. And kind of, if you think about it, you get that, I mean, the creatures and the way they moved and some of the there are some similarities, I think, between some of the action that we saw. So.
Also, it's a gorgeous story for Groot, so it's a Marvel movie as well.
I did get Groot. I did get Groot vibes from that.
Say that 5 times fast.
Especially, there was one point where there was one of the creatures that was trying to kind of gore into Drassa, and I'm like, were you a sheep too? Like, is that part of your DNA, or a ram, and you're trying to
Well, one of them had literal vine whip arm, and it's like, I've seen Groot do that. That's why they're murder Groots.
Okay. Murder Groots. Okay, so that is our official stance on this. The name of the creatures is not the Hollow Men. We are going to call them Murder Groots from now on.
From now on. So anyway, now the podcast is over. Now that we're done talking about the movie, those are all the notes that I have. So from now on isn't very long. But,
it isn't, because I don't have any notes either. But you're not ready. You're not ready with the feedback phone.
What are you talking about? I have nothing to do with the feedback phone. That goes off completely on its own. So that's whenever it's ready, it will go off. It's not ready yet. I'm still waiting. I thought whenever I set it up, wouldn't it be crazy if it went off now? Nope, still. I don't know what's going wrong with it. It's just not going. Oh, now interrupt me. Okay, there it goes. All right. Well, I'll answer it now, and then we'll see. All right, a little bit of feedback this week. Got some dual feedback from Catherine to start with, and then another one, but I'll throw it to you, Daphne, to get it going.
All right. So Catherine says, I really enjoyed the Pontypool episode. Levi is an awesome guest.
Yes.
And it was really cool to hear about how Riley communicates. So Catherine asked, would Riley be immune to the AMPS virus?
I'm trying to remember, because that was 2 whole weeks ago, kayfabe, and even longer than that in reality with how we record things. How it works exactly was do you have to say something that triggers it yourself, or just hearing somebody else say something still? I'm trying to remember, because he can hear perfectly fine and understand fully. But as far as if he has to speak it himself, then I think he's pretty good. Unless the trigger word is go, because that's his favorite word that he does know how to say. And will not stop saying it at certain times. So
I've actually heard him say that. Yeah. When he wants to go, he'll let you know.
Yeah, for sure.
So she goes on to say, I enjoyed quite a bit of the Gorge, especially the Hollow Men and the crazy mutated plant life. But there were long stretches that I was bored despite all the action scenes. Drassa and Kane were great, but they were pretty much invincible, so you knew they'd always find a way out. I was surprised when Drassa just jumped into the Gorge, and the previous guard was executed. Wouldn't that just create another Hollow Man? It seemed like there were already too many to handle. Yeah, there were too many to handle. And I did wonder about that, but I think because they shot him in the head, they were truly dead. But I don't know.
Yeah, didn't see anything about that. We did talk about, on this episode, speculating whether we both kind of thought that we might have seen him show back up, but then it didn't happen, so who knows?
Yeah. I was also shocked when they shot him in the head. I was not prepared for that.
The other one we have comes from Stacy, who says, I didn't have any idea what was in the Gorge. A total surprise, and I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did too.
Really cool.
I feel like there's been some movies this season that are going to make it very difficult for me when I get to the Riffle Awards at the end. Well, if you would like to submit feedback like Stacy or Catherine, you can find us on Facebook and Instagram at Run For Your Lives Podcast, or you could email us at runforyourlivespodcast@gmail.com. You can go to runforyourlivespodcast.com for all the links that you're ever going to need.
Ever.
Ever and ever and ever. If you're enjoying the show, tell your friends. We are available on all the podcast players, including Apple, Spotify, YouTube. If you love us, give us a review on Apple Podcasts, as that is the best way to share the love and get us out there even more. We really appreciate it.
We do indeed. Speaking of sharing the love and indeed, got to give a shout out to some things going on in the Podcastica universe around us and beyond. Starting off with my other podcast, Strange Indeed. With Rima, we have been running through the final season of the Netflix series You. Episode 6 should be up this week, so definitely go give that a listen if you're watching, either finished it already or watching along with us, or need to check it out and watch it and listen along. It's been a really, really fun time with this final season. It's just bonkers in the way that this show always is, and I love it. So we're having a blast over there on Strange Indeed. It's just good to be back with Rima, for sure. We're having a good time. Been a while. Over on The Cast of Us as well, The Last of Us Season 2 has ended. And so you can go check out the coverage of that finale over on the Cast of Us feed, along with the feedback episode as well. Be up this week to go check out very soon. If they're not up already, they will be soon. So definitely make sure you're going and checking that out and listening to that coverage. Also on that feed, The Walking Dead, Dead City. Alex and Ben have been covering that, so they've got episode 4 up this week for that. Also, The Handmaid's Tale wrapped its series finale recently, and they did an incredible job of coverage over there. I mean, they must have been doing something right when you get a message from the showrunner telling you how good of a job you did on your podcasting. So I'm going to give you some props for that. You can't hide from that.
Yeah, that may have happened. That was a little surprise. Thank you, Bruce Miller. It's been quite a ride with June, Janine, Moira, and the gang. We did record our episode. It's out for the series finale. And we have some feedback episodes that we're going to do because we have a lot of feedback that we just couldn't get to. And our listener opinions have just been so amazing that we are going to gather together and record episodes, release those. So we're not quite done. And Jason, Wendy, and I have decided we will definitely be back for Testaments when it comes back. So, yeah.
So we're on very similar trajectories and wavelengths right now. Both of us have been spending the last several weeks talking about the performances of Madeline Brewer, so that's cool.
Yeah, I mean, she's fantastic. How can you not?
Yeah, her character in this final season of You has been very interesting for sure.
She's so good. It's been incredible to watch her portrayal of Janine for the last 6 seasons. I'm bowled over, really, by what she has brought to life in this character that's undergone so much tragedy.
And then over on You, she's just doing sex scene after sex scene after sex scene. So it's...
Oh my God. That's a different time. Well, that also happened on Handmaid's Tale. We had a little bit of that with Jezebel's. But, yeah, it's been a ride.
No, but yeah, she's... No spoilers, but yeah, very, very complex character over there, too. So, yeah. Got to give some love to Madeline Brewer. Yeah.
She does such a great job with that, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like, she just goes all in. It's amazing. Yeah, so we'll be having a couple of feedback episodes coming out, and we're done, really. It's crazy to think about it, that this is the end of that piece. Yes. But we are doing Testaments, so that's coming.
Yay. Also, stuff to check out. The Murder Magnets podcast is running right now, covering Poker Face, and so you can go check out that. Episode 5 this week, Penny, Becky, and Greg covering that, so... Definitely check that out if you're watching Poker Face. And then the Cobra Kai cast, even though Cobra Kai wrapped its series finale earlier this year, still doing stuff over there because there's still Karate Kid universe stuff going on. In anticipation for Karate Kid Legends that's actually coming out now. Like, as you're listening to this, today is...
Yeah.
Last night was technically opening night. So, yeah, Karate Kid Legends is playing right now. So they are going to be covering that movie, the brand new movie, over... on the feed they're recording later this week. But they also decided, in preparation for that, since it is a crossover with Ralph Macchio and Jackie Chan, both universes there, they went ahead and covered the Jackie Chan, Jaden Smith Karate Kid reboot in the feed as well, so you can go check out that. So yeah, Karate Kid 2010, Jason, Rima, and Richard on that, and then they'll be back later in the week with Karate Kid Legends coverage over there as well. So, some Karate Kid stuff coming up for you. If you're a fan of that, to check out on the Cobra Kai cast.
Yes.
And then out again, I always say, and beyond. So outside of our podcast network, we always got to give some love to some other friends out there. Of course, our good friend Mark Kirkman runs the Pirate Core Entertainment Network and always has a lot of fun stuff going on over there. Nothing brand new this week, but you can definitely check out a lot of stuff. Mandy and Becky have been working hard on. They had a lot of interviews for The Pit. So if you watch that and the coverage of that, they did interviews with a lot of the cast over there that you can definitely go back and listen to, and a lot of good stuff there. There's a lot of really cool, like, history and music and podcasts like that are even outside the realm of movies and TV shows.
Yeah.
That have been really creative, and there's a lot of really cool stuff. So there's the Pirate Core Music podcast, where Mark and different guests get together and talk about their, like, favorite albums or influential albums and things that went on with that. And then, of course, Dinner for Her, like I said, is like historical women figures and a lot of things like that. So really cool podcasts over there. So definitely check out Pirate Core Entertainment. And then our good friends over at TV Podcast Industries covering all the best shows. So, of course, they've been covering The Last of Us over there as well. So you can check out their coverage at TV Podcast Industries. But yeah, besides that, if you want more of me and Daphne, you can check out our other podcast, the Buffalo Podcast, with our friends Jeff and Jerry. Again, outside of the realm of TV and movies a little bit, as it's a comedy podcast, a friendship podcast, where we get together and we chat, we hang out, we try to make each other laugh. We're absolutely ridiculous, play stupid games with no prizes other than our own
bragging.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it's a good time. We have a blast over there, so you can definitely check out Buffalo and give that some love. Usually I would say, and then next week you can come back and check us out. And you can come back next week and check us out. But then I would, throw over to Daphne and say, tell us what's going on. But it's a surprise for her. So
yeah, it's a surprise. So
she can tell you what's going on. All I'll say is I'll give you a little hint as I talk about stupid little games. Maybe we do that. Maybe instead of a movie, I decided to throw a little game at her. Something a little outside of the norm. Will she know what that means? Maybe. Will you know what that means? You'll have to tune in next week to find out.
Well, that brings us to the end of another creepy fun episode. Thanks, everyone, for listening. I'm Daphne.
And I'm Pake.
And if you have to run, you better run for your lives.
Bye-bye.